There's great advantage in being a slave, I see. Promote the triangle, promote that pyramid. You take advantage of the ignorant and the weak. Always keeping your eye on the money and the fame. You serve your masters in their three-piece suit. All-seeing eyes as you chained in a prison. Don't you know who you are? Don't you know what you are? I watch you on TV. You're on the billboards, you're everywhere. Madonna, Winner, Britney, Jay-Z, Eminem, Rihanna, and the rest. Oh, your symbols of control. The idiot Master. All your pomp and circumstance. Nothing new. Don't you know who you are? Don't you know what you've become? Even Alistair Crowley murdered his own son. All you psychopaths flock together. Mind control. You know what you can do with your little mind control triangle sign. There's only one thing left to do with you. Nothing you say anymore rings true. Everything is to program them to destruct. That's all you know. Don't you know who you are? Don't you know what it is? Ignorance is no excuse. You aim to kill the mind. My mind does not belong to you and never will. They had to lock you up in a museum and list you as a curio. Yeah, greetings in the name of the Most High. Well, it's I don't know how many times I've heard it repeated that they're going to try to assassinate Trump. So all of these people had the proper instincts. It's kind of hard, to give the public a pass at this point. And that's because, it's been out there. And we've talked about, a major event. And I still think from that debate onward that these are still the reverberations of having been drowned. I mean, I know this is going to sound petty, but you're going to get something here different than everywhere else. But you're going to get plenty of news everywhere else, so don't worry about it. But I think a lot of this stems from Jill Biden's ego. I believe that that they just can't imagine Trump trouncing their guy, her husband, their boy, they're the guy that usually wins, and there needs to be retribution for that. And I believe that the decision was made after the debate, after they tried to order Biden out, and he holed himself up in there because of Jill. And I suppose to a lesser extent, Hunter. And folks, it's well known about the incredible, huge crimes of the American left, globalist left, and elite Democrats. It goes to a lesser extent for Republicans. I'm not endorsing either party, although it may be that the default position is if you're not with crime and murder and theft. One of the reasons I comment on this and why politics is not it can't really be avoided especially from the spiritual perspective, just like there's always going to be this other perspective. And so to me, the beginning of it began on the debate. And then after that, we had this huge event of removing the president, which most of you have never seen that before. I mean, I guess we'd have to go back to Nixon, but it still wasn't the same as what you saw. Then you had this refusal to go, and then you had the assassination, which was largely created by the media. And the media should be held responsible for murder in many cases. They whip up people that are very ignorant. Like I guess they got one of the Antifa people that claimed to be involved. Antifa, obviously, and the American media are tied hip and thigh. As I've always said, is there an echo in here? Antifa is doing exactly what George Soros wants them to do. And so they figured, okay, I can't get Biden to leave right now. So what can assure a victory? Well, obviously a hit. Now, I don't believe at all for 1 second that the gunman acted on his own, or there are punk kids, 20-year-old kids that decided they're going to take out the president on this, because the timing is too suspect. The fact that the Secret Service failed completely, and they're giving him praises for having protected the president. The audience was pointing at the guy with the gun on the roof, at least a couple of minutes before any shots were fired, and nothing was done about it. So again, we have this. Here we go with John F. Kennedy again, the same crooks and criminals. Now, when people vote for a guy like Biden, they know they're voting. They also break the law themselves. Where they break it, I don't know. Maybe on taxes, maybe they cheat on something, but probably they're used to getting a pass, because if you're with the establishment, which is Biden, is the establishment and represents the big money of the world, the big globalists, the big global concerns, the Larry Finks, the Bill Gateses, all of that. You're a little person thinking that's going to help you. That they're for the little guy. There are no little guys there on the Democrat side. It's Bezos. It's, actors like George Clooney. It's the same people that burnt down Maui are deciding we've had it with Trump, because they decided that, okay, so we can't really whoop him here. We can't make Biden leave. We don't have another solution. How about we take him out? And then the solution should show itself. That should make things a lot easier. Right? You take out the competition, and then it's just a one-man race, and then Biden can be, go out with as a winner, And that's really 99% of the reason you saw this happen now is because of Jill Biden's ego. She is a sick individual, in my opinion, very sick, and psychopath level, psychotic level. And I believe that what she's trying to do is, the what happened to her husband on that debate stage. I know you keep discounting it, and I'm not going to let you get away with it. Because unless you talk about that, don't talk about this. I'm not interested. Right now, all the media who's trying to deal with this, the subject of Trump having a very close headshot, are not dealing with the fact. They're saying sometimes the media is responsible for this rhetoric and it's heated, and no one is putting, connecting the dots. I'm sure we're going to have plenty of time to go over this, and I hope the dots do get connected. But I really don't think anyone's going to adopt my point of view about Jill and the debate. And this is really a manifestation of the debate. This guy, this guy's lying on the roof. I'm watching a picture of the assassin, dead, lying on the roof. 20-year-old guy that says he hates Republicans and he hates Trump, and he's the lone gunman, just all alone up there. People see him with the gun, waving the gun around, and nobody does anything. They try to work the but again, it's as you understand, these things never happen in a vacuum. There's a whole team behind the assassination attempt, a whole group, if you will, because they have to run intel, they got to run cover story, they got to run, which they've done. The media is really started pulling the lever when the debate. Okay, here we are again. When the debate happened, then the media ratcheted up their rhetoric, and now we have a shooting. Understand? The media ordered Trump assassinated in conjunction with rogue agents and intelligence agencies, and not so rogue, with the establishment in the alphabet soup agencies, in the military. You don't think a guy like like the Joint Chiefs would want to take out Trump? So this is and isn't this kind of like, in a sense, they're getting retaliation for their guy Soleimani, because Soleimani was basically one of them, right? He was a Biden guy, right? Iran, the Ayatollahs, remember, and the left, work together. Remember Obama, cash. Please don't make me do all this. You guys, I know you guys, the core listeners here, you already know everything before I say it. And then we have a bunch of other people beyond the listening audience who are attributing different causes and factors and not considering the one I'm saying, which is fine. I shouldn't be so defensive about it. I just can't believe that we leave the debate and we go forward to the assassination trying to figure it out without including the debate in the assassination motivation. Can't we do that? Chew bubble gum and tie your shoes at the same time? Can't we do that? I wouldn't be up in this early hour. It just seemed like we had to jump on it. So that's my assessment. And I believe the media is just like the military, intel agencies and stuff. They're probably all equally involved. I do believe the military military, nice slip. The media is the military, is run by the military industrial complex. And they don't have much in the way of viewers. They don't do much, but they can whip up the rhetoric. And they've also buried the story when Trump was nearly assassinated, July 13th. Times Square wasn't even broadcasting it. If you were walking around Times Square, you probably didn't know what happened, because the media, which proves, no, we're not looking at it the way you're looking at it. We're not doing the news, which proves that the media did the hit, which proves that the media did the hit, which proves that the media did the hit, which I know that does no good. But so I have it all connected, at least in my mind. And unless there's some other thing going on, I think I'll just, and it's funny, it's like that day of the debate, Biden was slain. He became like a dead man walking. He became what do they call it? A lame duck, right? And whether he stays or goes, he was still his image, his what happened to him, his image was killed. The persona he had, I guess for the few people that still believed he was a good guy, I can't even imagine. And that you don't see the criminality involved in money laundering, Ukraine, and all the rest of it. I just, in good conscience, I wouldn't even want to be in the same room as people like that. And of course, the disdain I have for the people that prop up Biden and company is, well, let's say that it was compartmentalized before, but now, since it's war, obviously I'm not on that side. Antifa is a fascist organization, but I mean, it's a Johnny come lately compared to everything else. I mean, I know they've had versions of it, years ago. But Antifa is really a fascist organization working for the technocrats and the globalists. Okay, it's like they're Obama's private army, and they don't do anything unless they're paid. Okay, they don't do anything, especially assassination attempts, unless they're paid, unless a deal's been made. And this is what they thought they had to do to repair, well, not repair Biden, but throw the country into civil war, which was because they know. Don't you know? Okay, let me ask you then. What do you think would happen had they, had it not been a miracle of God? And by the way, God moved on the stage that night, and God moved in that assassination attempt. That was a miracle that Trump wasn't killed.
Praise the Lord.
That is a miracle of God.
Thank you, Lord.
It's all one movement. So I'm encouraging you to understand. It's all one thing, stemming from that telltale debate. It all began with that. Okay, so now, they've always had like soft plans for assassination, but that's never been. They actually implemented it. And by the way, there's probably hundreds of people involved in the assassination. Maybe more. These things don't happen in a vacuum, just like they kept saying, oh, that was a lone gunman that got Kennedy. For the people that just can't believe that there's something wrong with this country. There's something very wrong. And tonight it looks pretty doubtful that we're going to get it. This is, I felt like I was watching a replay of Civil War, where they killed Trump. I mean, that's basically what it was, is they all wanted to kill Trump. And of course, they made it racial by giving it to a black woman to do the killing. And I just was like, who do you fucking assholes think you're fooling? Garland, you stupid cuckold. Sucking up to the rich so you can have your little directing career. You go GFY, bitch. Yeah, tell them I said that. I don't care. They go ahead and kick me out of Hollywood. I'm already kicked out. Fine. But the truth is the truth. And that movie was nothing but pre-programming designed to get you to be okay with killing Trump. And then the media, who ordered the hit, blacked out the response so that you would be okay with killing Trump. Okay with killing Trump. Okay with killing Trump. So you'll be okay with it. Well, you're going to go to work tomorrow? Great. You think there'll be a job there? You think your bank account's going to stay open? Do you have any idea?
Now some on the left are saying, let's just remember the Antichrist survived a wound to the head. Some on the left are saying that already. People I know.
Yeah, but they're taking that completely out of context, thinking that Biden's the Antichrist. Or you think, oh, that Trump is the Antichrist.
Right.
Okay. That's not a head wound. Sorry.
And also,
it's a miracle of God.
The miracle of God, and also
a lot of people praying for Trump, and you saw prayer in action.
People hate Trump,
but they don't know
they
Trump.
Love the Antichrist.
They only hate because of the media that program them to hate. Yeah. They don't know Trump. Right. You go down to the UFC event, when he's meeting Dana White and company, and you got all people from all races cheering him on, standing ovation. You know what I mean? You see him with lots of, a lot of these people on the left, they talk about, the wanting black superiority and white inferiority, to make up for the past and all this stuff. They don't even know a black person. Where Trump hangs out with them, with people of whatever race, doesn't matter. That's just the way he is. Yeah. Oh, this guy, yeah, what a loser. But he's just a patsy. Whether he actually, I'm sure he shot the gun, but that may not have been the bullet that got close, because that bullet was like an assassin's bullet. Okay, so we're covering the media. The media panicked. Meaning that Soros, Bezos, the people that burnt Maui down panicked. Hello, are you with me? Because you're getting a lot of propaganda from all sides. I just want to try to keep to the spiritual truth of it, which is that, okay, if Trump's going to win the election, then we're going to assassinate him and start a civil war, because we know that his death would start a civil war. Now, to the people that think it's a lone gunman and all that, very good propaganda. They got you again, didn't they? Oswald was the only shooter, right? Sure. Right? Waving the gun around on the roof, but no Secret Service, FBI, undercover cops, anything. Nobody saw him, but the crowd saw him and yelled at the cops that did nothing. What is that? I didn't make that up. Is that a conspiracy? Is it a conspiracy to say that the media is trying to cause a war? I mean, they're implementing civil war. The movie was released, and now it's time to implement the civil war because we can't have Trump. So he's been made the boogeyman, and I'm not sure there's a way out of it. But when he's, like I say, when you see him in the entertainment world and you see him hanging around everybody of all different races and being really genuine with them, I mean, I haven't been the biggest fan of Trump because of some of the last. I like the things he did with the economy and stuff like that, but I just couldn't understand his siding up to big pharma and shutting the country down and causing so much. I know he was lied to, and I know he relied on people who lied to him. I understand, but it's hard for me to believe he was that naive. And if somebody that naive is not the kind of, you need somebody that's savvy on what's going on to be president. You don't need someone that's being lied to by deep staters who happen to be occupying the cabinet because he was a bad judge of character and he chose them. Okay, so, but I forgive, I forgive a criminal like Biden, Obama, all that stems back to Al Capone, money laundering. I don't like to see Americans not able to put food on the table because their money is being stolen by the likes of Zelensky and others, and Biden and others, in a feeble effort to continue this proxy war against Russia, which goes nowhere except a boondoggle for money transfers. This is outright theft. Do you like? I would never vote for someone that would steal your money. And that's exactly what Bidens do. They steal your money. Where do you think they got all those houses? Where do you think they got all their wealth from? Where do you think Obama? How did Obama get so much wealth? He was never really on the talks circuit that much. And these people are fabulously wealthy, thanks to you. So I don't like to see that. How about what's her name? The AOC. What's she worth? About 20 million now. How's that possible? Right. So a lot of these people, I wouldn't vote for anything to do with any of that. I think it was Menendez that was getting in trouble for his indulgences. But the only reason they're doing that is so they can attack Clarence Thomas. Everything has a reason. Kill the enemy, go hard against the enemy, kill them, break every law there is. There are no consequences if you're a Democrat. Therefore, I don't want any association with, criminals, bullies, just people that would oppress the people. I don't care if they're called left or right, and one wants Social Security, the other wants to trim it back, whatever. I also don't like to see veterans being treated like shit. Is that okay? I don't like to see veterans homeless while these know-nothing migrant, these illegals, these people that this army that Obama has shipped in through proxy through Biden, getting trained by NGOs and moving into lush apartments and getting cars and big screen TVs because they become the security outpost. Remember what Obama said: a million-man civilian army more powerful than the regular army. Do you remember that? Does anyone? What I've noticed, a lot of people have no memory of anything. It's just I got one, So that's always been a plan. And Trish and I were eyewitnesses to these young men. There were no women, there were no children, just young men being trained at the Marriott Courtyard in Waco, by the river there. Okay, now it just was right in our face. We couldn't even avoid it. So I reported it to you.
We tried to talk to them, and they kicked us out. They wouldn't.
But they're not supposed to be able to kick us out of the hotel. We paid for our room just like they did.
No, but they kicked us out of their room.
Right. Well, they don't own they don't own the hallway downstairs. No. They have classrooms down there where they're teaching these boys that they're bringing over what to do, and then they're taking them to locations around the country. Let me guess. Some are FEMA camps, re-education camps. And by the way, they're furiously building them right now. If we connect all the dots and don't have a lapse in memory, we can then understand the who, what, why, where is going on. And don't forget Maui, please. That's just terrible, because you know what? They're the same people that we mentioned, and others, and also BlackRock, are scooping up all the properties. And as we said they would. So that's another ka-ching, confirm. And that's what you pay me the big bucks for, because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. I'm going to tell you what's happening. So what's happening now is if then. Okay, so if then. If successful and Trump is dead, civil war. And because, let me tell you something, in case you don't know this, if you don't go to Trump rallies or you don't, these people are so fucking angry. Let me tell you something, you celebtards in Hollywood, you privileged set of hypocrites. They're going to come for you. And you media types that have basically called for this assassination, they're coming for you too. And I wouldn't want to be in the rampaging line. You can see how a war could easily begin, but it would be the U.S. government and their darling Antifa And all the, I guess, Democrats, all your actors, isn't that nice how they put a knife in your back? The actors that you pay on the big screen put a knife in your back and want to kill you while telling you to obey their commands. This wouldn't have happened had people just done what we told them to do and got rid of Trump. So I'm thrilled to be seeing this development, because why? It's, I've been talking for 20 some odd years up here, and now I'm reduced to just a little podcast, but you guys are you're still riding with me, and thank you for that. But and I love the podcast because 2 years later you meet people that just heard it, right? It just never dies. They're trying to kill it, but I mean, I don't know how successful they'll be. Man is incapable of self-rule. That's why there needs to be absolutes. Before we had the Judeo-Christian culture, the Bible, certain mores, certain standards, and laws were developed from those standards. And without that, you have chaos. Barbarism, cannibalism, resorts to a complete breakdown of society to nothing but every man for himself and most dead. They want a civil war. This is the other part. But they want to be able to shoot the MAGA people, the biggest threat to the democracy, whatever that word means, the biggest threat to democracy, which of course that word is in their hands is a sham, because they want to be able to kill with impunity all the Trump supporters. And it really comes down to something that narrow with a lot of these people. It's just, that's the brainwashing. MAGA bad. MAGA is white supremacy, racism, homophobia, xenophobia, everything that's trying to block democracy and progress is MAGA and must be killed. And that's how that's the media programmed them to kill. The media called the hit. The media is, I don't know how you put up with it, like in Atlanta or whatever, that's where CNN is, when these people walk down the street or they go get a cup of coffee. How is it that there's not a bunch of people screaming at them, threatening to kill them? How is it that they, well, I don't need to worry about that part of it anymore. It's going to come down to what side are you on very soon. And the side I'm on is God's side. I'm on the side of not rejecting the Lord and not persecuting people for their religious beliefs. And I don't care what they are. Man is a religious being. And I've searched out many religions for myself. I welcome anybody going on a spiritual quest, a religious quest, to have the freedom to do it. This is America. So that would make me a liberal right there. I'm not a theocratic guy. I'm a liberal in the sense that I believe people should be free to say what they want and to pursue happiness or pursue fulfillment, pursue spiritual fulfillment in any way they see fit. But when it becomes political, when it becomes a slave practice, which it is now, it's basically politics is now human trafficking. The biggest trafficker in the history of the world is the Biden administration. Nobody bats an eye. And I'm talking about kids now, and millions of them being trafficked, not just for sex, for organs. They're being trafficked for organs, and it's in the mainstream news now. They're being sent to places in the United States, and I believe these are hospitals that are cutting their organs out and shipping them to wherever they go, because the industry it's multi-billion-dollar industry. It's way more lucrative than prostitutes, way more lucrative than drugs, way more lucrative than guns. It's a pretty big deal, and so it all comes down to trafficking children because they want the blood. Just like Biden had to get a transfusion before he got up there, and probably he's had many transfusions. Well, I'm basing my evidence on the way that his skin texture looked and that he looked. There's no drug that could really puff him up like that. Where he, to try to save his presidency. When they saw that he wasn't saving the presidency and the Trump's numbers weren't going down, the media then called in a hit. But most of the media doubles as, CIA agents and intel agents. And so they're all kind of intertwined anyway. So, but it's the media that's brainwashed these people. And, we have people like Joy Reid saying, what do I have to do to stop Hitler from being in the White House? In other words, what she's saying to you is she's willing to do anything, including assassination and mass killing and mass war, just to sacrifice everything and every person and kill everything alive to do one thing, and that's to stop Trump. Because that's sick. Is that right? And she's putting that out there for kids or anybody who's going to watch CNN. Unfortunately, they're going to be programmed by that. And, just like, people are talking about Trump, you don't join in because you don't want to be associated with, Republicans or Trump or anything like that. So they've done a very good job because most people will not. Yeah. Well, I think they thought that they would have. I think there was probably there may have been more than one shooter. I mean, at first they started saying it was like an AR-15. A 5.56 round, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that. It's a pretty accurate shot. That's the kind of shot that you'd expect a professional sniper to make. But this kid that took responsibility is only 20 years old. So here we go again. Where's Julian West when you need him? He's got to come in now and be the shrink to to whoever they arrest or whatever to let us all know. Yeah, there he is on the building. And there's like police. Who's that? Like military looking at him? Who are the guys in that caps? Are those Trump supporters or those military?
Elon Musk is wondering how the hell was such an obvious line of sight not secured?
No, it was not secured because they wanted to because
Trump supporters were saying, hey, look, there's a guy on the roof.
Right.
With a long gun.
They wanted to kill him.
And they didn't.
They wanted to kill him. The order went down. Jill was humiliated. She couldn't stand it. She told Biden he's going to stay in the White House even if he's a corpse. They're not going to do this to Jill. And then somehow they called the hit in because that was another solution. If Trump's not there, then the problem goes away for Biden. Everybody's happy, except for one thing. They got to quell the civil war. They don't have any idea about the anger about people, but they are saying one thing. The most dangerous people in the world are the MAGA white supremacists. In other words, the president has called in the hit at any time, anywhere, to shoot and kill anyone that has a red hat on.
Or anyone who ever voted.
Okay, so the government basically called in the hit, but I believe it's the media that made it possible for open killing now. And all your celebrities have sold their souls, and they basically go along with this shit because they're the same rumor about actors, you know what I mean? Without a script, they're dumb as fuck, There's no point for them to talk about anything, So when you hear like people like, making these videos about Trump and stuff, and Robert De Niro and all these people, you just go, I grew up on their movies and I, enjoyed them. And now I realize why that all of that joy, all of that good, all that, I guess what it would be is just good faith demonstrated by the U.S. public on the movie stars that they like. Most of that money was wasted on these celebtard assholes, really. They're just as responsible for this hit. And Obama is the Mac Daddy there. He's there he is. He is absolutely, got dirt on his hands. I mean, they're all got blood on their hands. But I say the media called the hit in because they said, what can we do to make sure that Hitler doesn't get into the White House? Well, Joy, you got your way, except they missed. Except it was a miracle of God that wasn't a headshot. That should have been a beautiful headshot. Classic, Marine sniper, marksman 101, right? That's what you're looking for, right above the ear. That turns them off like a switch. What are you talking about? Don't tell me any of this bullshit. You save it for these retards out there that don't know anything, which I guess is a lot of people. But, if you think look, yesterday when I saw this happen, I felt sick because I just feel it's like right away I knew that nobody stopped the sniper because they didn't want to. Well, at some point you're going to have to admit it. Why didn't they secure that rooftop? If there was a line of sight that goes right to the podium, why? Why? It's a perfect sniper nest. Why? 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 And I can tell you another thing. They think it's going to be easy to finish off patriots, conservatives, Jesus freaks, whoever is on the side of having an actual country called America is, of course, a racist and a homophobe and all that. And really, the people that are perpetrating all that and the people behind the trans movement are actually being controlled by the WEF, by even guys like Kurzweil and Harari and other people that want to make basically procreation, sex to get babies obsolete. And that really is a long-term objective of the trans movement. It's got nothing to do with the trans people. It has to do with social engineering. But of course, I know that's too heady of a concept. And, again, it's not something that the public can understand. That just makes me a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist, which I am not. So today, welcome to a new day. And this event, the debate that hurt Jill's feelings so bad, is only going to continue. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Hell hath no fury like Jill Biden scorned. I don't even think Hillary is as vindictive as Jill. But she wants revenge, man. She wants revenge against Trump. And that's what it's all about. That's all they talk about at the White House. They just talk about Trump all day long. It's not about policy. Basically the only policy the Democrats have is to take all your money, enrich themselves, leave you in food lines and tell you to shut the fuck up or we'll put you in jail. That's what you guys want, right? That's what Hollywood wants. That's what Disney wants, because the elites are given even more millions and billions of dollars for going along with the overthrow. But that's basically what it is, and it's overthrow the country from within and without. But why is that like a right-wing statement? I'm just observing. Like if I was just a historian that wasn't Republican or Democrat, I would just write it out, fact by fact by fact, and those are the facts. What do you want me to do? I didn't do it. I'm just a messenger. I did not, decide to steal from the taxpayers. I did not decide to do these boondoggles in Ukraine to launder money, back to politicians and oligarchs of the Ukraine, of which there are billionaires there too. So I didn't do this. And then the killing of Ukrainians, just basically wasting them in the war effort. Meanwhile, in Kiev, or Kyiv as they call it, but also Kiev if you're Russian, they've been partying the whole time. They've been having fashion shows and partying and taking trips abroad to their yachts and cruising the Mediterranean and all that kind of stuff. I mean, while the people get obliterated. But then you turn around and you vote for them again. And where does it stop? They so own your mind out there. They control everything you think, everything you eat, everything you do, every place you go, and you have no freedom. You're living in a prison, which is your own body, and they're basically extracting power from you in the form of consciousness, which is the whole point of 5G and all the other frequencies. Well, anyway, I'm getting too esoteric here. The bottom line is they were fully aware that an assassination of Trump, and they try to make it like Antifa isn't the U.S. government. Antifa is the U.S. government, okay? Please don't tell me anything. Please stop lying. Please. So they would get a civil war rather than remove Trump from the White House because Jill has put her foot down, because she didn't like the way her husband was treated, even if he's the one that screwed up. So that's my assessment on it. And I'm sure there's lots of other factors, but I'm sure that as you tune into different radio programs, podcasts, and news outlets today, you're going to hear a ton of theories. You're going to hear a ton of reasonings. And so mine, regardless of what anyone thinks, I'm following my own line of reasoning, and I don't change it just because the winds change. I had a feeling that, that Biden was basically, going to leave or going to be thrown out or something bad was going to happen, or maybe even, die of natural causes, which could also happen if you're under a lot of stress, especially from like debating and losing a debate and being pumped up with drugs and all the stuff they do with him, which is terrible abuse. I just had the feeling that he just might expire. And if he did, would they keep him on? I don't think they'd tell you. I think they'd say he's alive and well. He has a cold or something. So, anyway, I've been so let down because in my own naivete, I held out movies as one of my things that when I was a kid, it gave me pleasure to go to the movies. That's when I had my happy space, in the movie theater. And now to see these people sully themselves, prove to be, sub-IQ robot automatons, mouthing the deep state party line to people like Mickey Rourke, people like Don Cheadle, people like the fool Jennifer Lawrence and others. It's hard for me to believe that you guys drank the Kool-Aid and that you don't think for yourselves, that you have no capability of human thought and reasoning. You do what you're told because you like the money, you like the Academy Award, you want to party down on the yacht at Cannes. I know what you want to do. But is it worth it to just go into complete bloodshed and kill everybody just so you can have your little pleasure? Is that worth lying about? Huh? Celebrity? Is that, you know what? I hope AI replaces you all and that your revenues go to zero. Then maybe you learn something. But it seems like you're so busy trashing the public and lavishing yourselves that you're just used to it now. It's just, that's where your power comes from. And this is why I've tried to tell people they don't understand me. I just say, most celebrities, especially people like pop singers that are real avid fans, they hate their fans. They have security to make sure the fan can't get an autograph. I mean, they hate their fans. They consider them, subhuman. And then they hear anything like this or any criticism at all, they can't handle that either. So it's, but make no mistake, they are all appendages of the globalist, technocratic world government system. And they are all paid for, not by you, but by the the wealthy elites that now own MGM, right, Bezos? You own MGM. Little man there with his little bald head. He owns not just Maui, but he owns MGM. And he owns IMDb. He owns these actors. And if they don't spout the talking points in the Washington Post, Bezos, he's going to get mad. If you say that anybody's trying to scoop up that property in Maui for themselves, because that'll be the Mecca of the future, when they build their new city, a big sparkling Atlantis city with the latest in technology to be the center, the heart of Maui, which is the heart of the, they think, of the planet. Oh, God help us. Well, God helped us. God spared Trump. And probably there's a lot of people alive today because of that miracle that the bullet, it hit the ear somehow, and it grazed up and away. And if he had been turned even a quarter inch more, if it pierced his skull right there, apparently that part of the brain, you're out immediately. You're dead. So that was a serious shot by a serious marksman who's probably had a lot of years of training. And they probably won't ever have film of him. They'll keep showing the other guy. And, they'll never be able to prove any multiple shooters. That's a possibility. I'm not saying I buy into that completely, but I don't put it past them. Let's put it that way. So we're coming to the end of this. That's my assessment. Like I said before, if you want to, well, it may be too late to turn this stuff off, but we're going to try our best to try to have a peaceful world. But you need the media gone. You need most of the government's been on the take. They're all dirty. They need to be gone. Just base it on those who have been on the take and those not. You don't even have to go through. If you go through if you go through the human trafficking, which is really now become, oh God, it's so hard. The United States is the top provider of organs from children. They get taken, the NGO approves, and the government, they approve the sponsor. They get in a van with the sponsor. They're dropped off at a remote location, and the children are taken probably in underground laboratories where they're cut up. I can hear Jill Biden screaming at me going, "Come on, Zeph, grow up." Of course that's what we're doing. Who wouldn't do that? These kids have no future anyway. That's what my book, The Hospital, was about. I got about to almost the halfway point. I had to stop because of complications, shall we say. Health complications, as I guess I stirred up the spirits, huh? Just like I'm doing now. You can listen to, I'm going to listen to Alex Jones, and I'm going to listen to, Victor Davis Hanson, and I'm going to listen to, I don't know, whoever else is around today to talk. Remember years ago, Michael Savage wrote books about trying to stop the coming Civil War. Talking about prophetic, he was like about 10 years ahead of his time. It doesn't matter.
So they took him off the air.
It doesn't matter how accurate they are. It doesn't matter how intelligent they are. It doesn't matter how spot on they are with remedies to fix America, to fix the situation before it starts killing our kids and us just openly. It's all been 100% accurate and 100% rejected by the public that believes it lives in Disneyland due to the media propagandizing them until they finally realize they live in a hell created by Trump, and only getting rid of Trump is going to fix the situation. But that's because the social engineers want civil war, because they believe they could win a civil war. They've war gamed it a million times. They think they could sweep up the MAGA stuff, get rid of any Trump thing, get rid of the Republican Party, have a one-party system under Obama, and in cooperation and cahoots with the UN and the WEF and the various global agencies to create a kingdom whose throne is not in the United States. But that, of course, that's always been 100% accurate. That's always been a plan. It's never been realized. Just like, Ferrari wants to make little toys out of people and, do genetic experiments to have a half lion, half man. He gets off on that. CERN is trying to figure out the God particle so they can be like gods and create. They managed to open up portals, allowing all manner of evil into the world. Yeah, a little bit of the blame goes to them. But most of the blame goes to the media and the people consuming the media without thinking. These people, you might as well be paid off by Larry Fink. You might as well get paid for your selling of your soul. Because when you go along with something and give consent to the beast system on earth, to Satan, to the open Luciferian New World Order, if you give cause or rise to that, you have sold your soul. Where are you going to get it back from? How can you get it back? And you've hurt children, and you've rejected Jesus. You've rejected everything. You're even going to reject your own body because you hate God so much that you want your body gone too. You don't want to live in this atmosphere. You want to hide in your own created digital network atmosphere because you hate God and you want to take everyone with you. Because you hate God and you want to take everyone with you into your digital world. But let me explain something. The digital world is not reality. It is the ultimate in simulation. Just like we're in a simulation now. We couldn't have the story we have now, the individual stories of people on their journeys to salvation, if we didn't have a simulation, if God didn't have space-time and things just the way they are, we would not be able to have this conversation in this way. So, in a sense, this life is simply a test. You go back to the oldest book of the Bible, Job, and you'll figure out by reading that again, you'll see that Job is you. Job is me. Are we going to criticize or turn against God because we are under hardship? Are we? Did we? Is that what we did? Well, a moment of silence for a little pause before the fireworks begin. Can you imagine the road from here to the election? Do you think there'll be a mass repentance, a return to the living God? Or do you think the people will annihilate each other? Or do you think we're just going to devolve into chaos? Or do you think this is a good excuse to drop the economy and blame it on Trump? Whatever your thing is, and all these different avenues of thought, the reason that you're here and the reason that I'm here is because we fucked up. Okay? And I say the best way to fix it for me is in prayer and to fix myself, if you will. Get closer to God, be a better man. That's my contribution. That's because I can't control politics. Obviously, it's been a big failure in terms of switching, human, enlightening human perception. I don't seem to be very good at that. But I can work on myself in so much as myself as it pertains to sojourning with the Lord. And then every decision just has to go through that no more personal decisions, no more personal thoughts. And just like I do a podcast, if I'm inspired to do it, not on a schedule, not looking for money, not trying to dupe you, just trying to figure it out for myself and sharing along the way. But it's hard for me to, I've lost so much in my life. I lost the movies, and that used to be my comfort, but they became too propagandized. The people said they wanted to. I just saw De Niro in a sequence saying he wanted to punch Trump in the face, acting like a big tough guy, and he was very convincing on camera. But then you see him; he's this little guy that's this little coward. This couldn't be a tough guy of anything. I mean, it's like, why would anybody bother even spending a dime seeing him ever again for any reason? And I know a lot of people who have. What's that?
This guy, he tried to warn them. He said, "Hey, look, there's a guy crawling, on the roof, but he's got a long gun." And he was trying to tell the.
They're not gonna stop. That's their operation.
He was wondering why Trump was not taken off the stage already.
Because the Secret Service is in on it too.
It wasn't the Secret Service he was talking to. It was the police.
Police, FBI,
and the Secret Service.
Right,
too.
They're all in on it. It's everybody kills the Orange Man.
Oh, this is so sad. I just thank the Lord that.
You know what's sad?
They missed.
Is that the people that have the power have no solution to anything. Zero, zip, and nada. They're just idiots. Period. And I don't mean to be rude to them in public.
You don't think.
I don't mean to be rude to them in public, but it's gotten to the point where it's like it's hard. I ask the Lord for forgiveness a lot because I don't see the humanity. I don't see myself in them. You know what I mean? I don't see the commonality of being human in me and in them. And I suppose that's my fault. That's not anybody else's fault. We need to pray for our enemies. We need to do good when they do evil to us. we have to forgive our enemies, because otherwise it's in the Bible. It's so clear. This is like those 3 points I just said are so clear that if you hate the enemy and you want to go kill the enemy, then you're no different than the pagans that brought this. You failed the test. Well, to be continued, folks. I'll be doing a brief video recap, and Pia gave me a great graphic on this, and I'm going to dig it out and try to get it on this pod.
All right.
So anyway, go ahead and listen to all the other shows now. You're going to get an earful today. But I don't think the earful is going to include, oh, this just happened with a random 20-year-old, basically, almost teenager who was in Antifa that decided to get up on the roof and shoot the president without anyone saying anything. I don't think you're going to believe that. But if you do, I won't be surprised. I know the way it works, and nothing in politics happens in a vacuum, and there are really almost no coincidences. This thing happened on the stage. Trump whipped Biden, and it was like he crossed the line. God beat Biden. Biden beat himself. But Jill tripled down on getting Trump. So if I had to say, if the single most influential factor in the assassination attempt would have been Joe Biden. And because I know women like that, she will never rest until she has vengeance. She will never rest until she has the satisfaction of vengeance. And now I guess that the only kind of victory for her would be Trump dead. But not just Trump, everyone that ever supported him. And that may not be enough for Jill.
Well, they already have that codified in law.
That may not be enough for Jill.
That the MAGA supporters are the most dangerous in the whole country.
And when they said that was a declaration of war. Yeah. Why didn't anyone heed? Why? Next thing you know, you'll be going to an event. They're going to know who you are, They'll poison your food, It's gotten that bad, huh? Where are you going to go dine now? You going to go out to your favorite restaurant? I wouldn't advise it. There's really nowhere you can go. We're in a real fight here, and all it takes are people with common sense to do the right thing, and to and if you're going to vote to make it count, you got to police the vote. If you can't police the vote, they're gonna steal it from you. I mean, they're so far beyond voting. Voting is just a formality to them. Let me just break this down, and then I got to go. They intend to cheat. They intend to steal it. They will not require an ID of any kind. People can vote 1 million times if they want. You could vote every day if you want, from here on in. They just want a banana republic election, appoint the new leader, the corpse Biden, who is a corpse. And frankly, I thought, at first I thought he would leave. Then I thought, no, I think this is this thing of holding up in the White House is much, much more dramatic. So I think that the idea that he is going to tough it out as a corpse with Jill really pulling the strings of the marionette. I think this is
it was so
very interesting.
So interesting that they all trotted out and did the right thing, quote unquote, of saying condemning the assassination attempt.
Yeah.
Bill Clinton and
no,
Obama.
We haven't heard from many sympathizers of Trump. But we have heard from Trump's enemies. They're all sorry it happened. No, they're sorry that the guy missed. But they'll try again. So that's the criminals, and the ones that get locked up are the good guys. America's bass backwards. And unless people get involved in trying to fix it, it can't be fixed. It's not going to get fixed by just sitting there. When I say fixed, I don't expect no corruption or anything. I just expect that people would have a chance to pay their taxes and
maybe a rule of law.
Well, I think people need to be able to, have lower taxes and have more money for groceries. This year there's I think the amount of people going on vacations has been cut in half. A lot of wealthy people have gotten into RVing, but they had, because they want to get away. Of course, wait till they find out how awful it is trying to find a space in a crowded RV park, and wait till they meet the lifers. The meth head lifers that have a criminal element in the RV park, and the whole place is run down, and it's run down into prostitution and drugs. Wait till they get one of those for an overnight. Let's see what they do then, about putting their sewer out and draining their camper. Anyway, I think the idea of parallel worlds is really going to become more and more what's going on. In other words, I think we're just going to have to leave them behind. And we need to be left behind. I think there's grounds here for a divorce. It's just bad every day. People fighting every day. People calling, even if you voted for Nixon, you weren't called all those names. And Nixon was very corrupt, very Republican, And well, you do what you're going to do. I have thrown out my expectations. I just want to get closer to the Lord and do the best I can, given the opportunities out there to do stuff. And there's still some kind of a structure here of, opportunity. You can go into well, who knows what you would do? I don't know what you would do. As far as our own, I don't talk much about Crazed House here, but we're involved in building out that brand, and you'll soon see that you can stream Crazed House movies on the internet. And I think, free if you put up with a little bit of an advertising, or you can go to the site crazedhouse.com and you can get anything, mugs, t-shirts, Blu-rays, whatever.
Mugs?
Don't we have a mug?
I don't know.
Oh, maybe there's no mug.
I have no idea.
Well, get a, yeah. But
t-shirts, yes.
Yeah, the movie's hanging in there. Yes, Girl Next is still out there performing. And I'm really just very pleased to see that not only is she still making money, but I think there will be a sequel, Girl Next 2. So I'm excited about that. We can only do so much, though. We're getting ready to shoot something else overseas, and we'll just continue. And
we're in the fight.
I guess this Hollywood schism is just for me to deal with. I hate. It's always been there. I've always been an independent thinker, though. More of I'd say I fall kind of in the libertarian category a little bit. Patriotic in that I honor the founding. I don't know. I've never been that fervent about anything, but it's at this point, when I see grown men and women who have hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank because of the kindness of, certain oligarchs, shall we say, and they're celebrities, and they're trading on that celebrity, and they're enjoying being worshipped and adorned. Why they want to come into my house and point their finger at me? Why do they feel a need to do that, since they themselves do a lot of the things they're criticizing others for doing? Why would I want to listen to that? The answer is I don't. But now that when I hear them do it, let me just tell you what it's like. So to if you ever get famous as an actor out there, it's like you've enjoyed these people all your life, and you never really questioned it until they started, with their globalist, politics. And then you realize the people that have created celebrity are globalists. They are members of certain secret societies. They want a one world government. They belong to the Bohemian Club in San Francisco. I mean, these are the kingmakers. These are the people that make the actors famous. These are the people that bring them into your living room and into the movie theaters. And so when I see a guy like De Niro, who I admired so much, and he breaks my heart with this Trump stuff, yeah, and I realize it's some of this is mental illness. Probably he's so overwhelmed with, and maybe he's heartbroken at seeing how America is so dysfunctional. But then they focus it on one guy, who actually has not been involved in government or in policy decisions that would turn America into a shithole. But then again, I've said this a million times. What's that, Michael the Archangel protecting Trump? There's a lot of people have done memes about Michael the Archangel protecting Trump. So here we go, another day. I just get ready for, you may want to dive into a book today. But if you're like me, you're going to listen to what they have to say. And probably you're just going to, some of you guys, in your 60s, whatever, the last of the boomers, you'll probably be yelling at your TV sets. You'll be screaming at the screen. No, that's not right. That's not what happened. No, it's not all one man's fault. The Democrats are blaming the Republicans, the MAGA, for what they do. And that was a Saul Alinsky tactic, of course. But I feel like the Bob Dylan song, but you and I, we've been through that, and this is not our fate. For let us stop talking falsely now. The hour's getting late. All along the watchtower. So I'm going back up onto the wall to watch. I'm the watchman. I'm actually the seer. And I'm going to go see some more. What are you showing me, Trish? Trish is feeding me here.
Looks like...
what's that?
Somebody captured a photograph...
Of the bullet?
Of a bullet whistling by Trump's head. Shit. Holy shit.
Yeah, they to get that close to hit the ear or hit anything on the head, it had to be a professional, or at least someone that was well practiced, someone that would have achieved marksman.
Why wouldn't they listen status to the Trump supporters that were pointing out the gunman?
Because they're trained to ignore Trump supporters no matter what they say. The Trump supporters are the Jews of 1943, 1939. All right, folks, I'll be seeing you on the video. Greetings in the name of the Most High, without which no one would be here. So we've done the audio, which hopefully you would hear first. And, everyone was kind of quiet. Ben's was quiet during that one. And I just want to kind of recap. I had a headline like "The media kills Trump," stuff like that. And certainly the media has been working on killing anyone that doesn't agree with them for any reason. And so we find ourselves where we find ourselves in a very unfair. They're hypocritical, they're stupid, and they can't reason. So, what do you do when you're up against tyranny in that way, where there's no reasoning, there's no rule of law, there's just, something like an assassination attempt, and then, nobody, the audience there points out the shooter on the roof, and no one does anything, right? They just want Trump dead because they figure, or I consider this whole thing to be Jill's revenge for the debate. I really do. That's how I frame it all. Jill is the one keeping him in the White House. Jill is the one that's getting pumped up full of, blood transfusions and everything else to keep him going. It's just like keeping a corpse going. But like I said, that was a very definitive day. God judged Trump as the victor and Biden is a loser, and Jill cannot stand it. And then, of course, you've got the rest of the media, the intelligence agencies, the globalists, certain oligarchs overseas who can't, they hate Trump. And the reason why is because the plans they have are to put the people into total bondage, to eliminate the middle class, to create an oligarchic system of rulers and slaves, much like the film Elysium. And they're very serious about it. And there's Republicans and Democrats involved. I wouldn't join either party. My sympathies go with rule of law, respect for people, you're working and being able to make a living, being able to afford food for the table, to not be ripped off through unfairness and taxes and excise taxes and all kinds of taxes and inflation, which is a hidden tax, and are becoming dependent on the government, but the government is favoring the illegals over the people that are falling into homelessness. And then the main business of the traffickers and the U.S. government in cahoots is trafficking children. How did we come full circle to that again? We've only been talking about this for how long have we been talking about this problem? Ever since the beginning. Oh, they don't traffic children. Yes, they traffic children now, but the main reason for the trafficking of children now is for the organs. It's for the organs. So just imagine they get dropped off at some secret laboratory. Kids are told they're going to be fine. They get put in cages. They get put in lockdown, seclusion, and then when they're ready, they're drugged up and they're put on a table. And the organs are harvested and they throw the corpse away. Next, please. And they're doing this all over the country. Make your blood boil. And they say, oh, that's such a wild conspiracy theory. Well, no, I'm using the FBI's own numbers on the kids who are basically abducted every year. We have that at roughly 1 million. But then if we take the amount that are being trafficked, it's in the millions. Notwithstanding getting blood transfusions, harvesting blood for transfusions to the elites that want to remain young. I think even my grandmother had this done, where she had a 12-year-old child's blood put in her. That didn't kill the child. It was just, it's available for about $12,000, I think, back in those days. And it helped for about 2 weeks, and then she reverted back to whatever she was. In other words, it was a fool's errand at best. So, yes, blood, like everything else, gets tired and needs to be fortified. And people have tried to do that. But, so the media, the media really is, in my mind, responsible for the Civil War. And had Trump been killed, it's a miracle of God that he wasn't. Because, God made his choice at the debate. And this I'm not surprised with this kind of stuff out of the Biden administration, with this assassination. We all knew that the next thing, if the lawfare didn't get him, we're going to have to kill him. How many times have we heard that? Everyone agreed. So, Biden now, after this crisis of the debate, pulls the trigger. But it's not Biden himself, El Presidente. It's Jill, who is a woman scorned, and she is on the rampage. And she doesn't want to go anywhere. She doesn't care if he winds up being a corpse. She'll hide him in a closet. She is out for blood now. And they got a little taste of blood. So watch out, everybody. Watch out. I believe the solution to all our problems is growing the parallel economy, new technologies, agreeing with Elon Musk about expansion into space. But the main way we can improve this world, in my opinion, is to improve ourselves by getting closer to God. Closer, more conscious of the living God, and more fidelity with going, with progressing through life, making decisions that are in cahoots with the living God, and part of your path in life that will take you all the way home if you do it right. And I think people that are on that path are a force for good in our society, a force for good in this society. This idea that I can control the Democrat Party or the Republican Party, or I can do something in that way. The only thing I can really do is try to be a better man, and it's not an easy thing to do, but it's what we can do. And not participate in creating more of a nature of war, but a nature of peace. And the problem with had they taken Trump out, I believe we would be in civil war right now. That it would be a hot, bloody civil war, and you don't want to go there, and I don't want to go there. Anyway, it's hard for me to believe that a kid got this idea out of his own mind. It could have happened, could have been mind control, whatever. Could have been, who knows exactly the catalyst involved. No one knows. But to me, they've been calling for his death for years. And now, on the heels of that debacle of the debate, never think the debate wasn't a big thing, right? It was a game changer. Everything changed after that. Anyway, well, let's hope to see you in better days in the future. I'm going to be like everybody else, like all the rest of you. I'm going to be watching the news and just trying to formulate, spiritually infused, accuracy, if I can, as to the deeper nature of what's going on at this point. And I don't know that there's a way to avoid a war if it's a season of war, but at least we can understand. It's probably some kind of miracle that something like this didn't happen earlier, with the amount of propaganda people have been taking, and the grown men and women talking about Trump like he's the schoolyard bully when they don't even know him. Yeah, it's all about getting Trump out of there, and once he's gone, then we can return to fair elections. I mean, that's the skewed logic of people that are illogical. But anyway, follow the money always. I'll see you next time.
discussion I had with Richard Garwin. And if you're not familiar with Richard Garwin, Richard is now 93, maybe he's 94. And he drew the plans for the world's first thermonuclear weapon. Everyone's familiar with Edward Teller, and they call him the father of the hydrogen bomb, thermonuclear bomb. When in fact, Richard Garwin, when he was 23 years old, drew the plans. And this is actually not even written in some of the most famous books about the hydrogen bomb because it wasn't declassified or known until about 10 years ago, right? But Richard Garwin unequivocally drew those plans. And in a discussion that we had about this, he raised the concern with me of kind of the madman theory, the idea that there are people, and Garwin specifically mentioned Napoleon, who follow this logic of après moi le déluge, which is like after me the flood, you know? If I die, may everyone die. And so that hypothetical, which I figured out actually terrifies everyone, or rather I should say many in Washington, is the premise. It's what is called a rogue launch. In nuclear nomenclature, it's called a bolt out of the blue attack, which is actually pretty easy for we laymen to understand because it is literally a bolt out of the blue. It's like all of a sudden there's a nuclear weapon coming our way. That is how it begins. And the first interesting thing to me to learn was we don't learn about the nuclear weapon coming our way when it, destroys a city. We, the Defense Department, learn about it in the first fraction of a second after launch because of our satellite technology. I was suddenly like, oh my God, you have a narrative, right? The mad ruler, who launched, and then you have the technology. And that's what I think I do in nuclear war scenario is weave these concepts together in this horrifyingly tight knot, because that is what it is. But the Defense Department satellites do a very specific set of satellites which are called SBIRS, right? And that's the space-based infrared system of satellites. And what the SBIRS satellites do is they are parked essentially in geosync, 22,000 miles up, 1/10 of the way to the moon. Parked there, this massive school bus-sized satellite with sensors, literally the size of like a car. And they are looking down at the hotspots. They are looking down at the launch pads of the nuclear-armed nations.